In this video we'll talk about the editing options for editing data in a grid component, and we'll continue from the grid that we built in the previous example. So let's basically go ahead here and remind ourselves of how it looks. So we have a grid right now that currently is not editable. So let's go ahead and first of all, to give ourselves some more space, let's say that we want to only show the search part on demand. So we'll say this, and we'll say that the initial state of the search part is closed. So now you can see that the search part is not visible, and we have some more space on the screen. So we'll go back to design mode, we'll go to our fields, and we'll say editable. And when we do that, we need to convert all the controls from labels into text boxes. So that Alpha 5 goes ahead and does that for us. And now let's go ahead now and do a live preview, and you can see that all of the text boxes have been turned into all of the labels have been turned into text boxes, and we can go ahead now and do some edits. So we can go here and type in, say, Alpha Software, and as soon as we start typing, the row goes dirty, and we can go here and type in Alpha Software as well. So now we can either commit each row individually, or we can press the submit button, which commits all the rows at once, and you can see those two rows now have gone clean. So as soon as we make an edit, the row goes dirty, basically commit, and the row gets saved. Also, after you start editing, you can press the undo button, which gets you back to where you were, or if you press the escape key without clicking the button, you can also basically undo your edits. So in this mode, all of the rows in the grid are initially editable. So let's go back to design mode now, and then go back to the grid properties, and you can see here that we have a row edit style of all rows, or we can choose row on demand, and then the new rows we can also say are only shown on demand. So now let's go back to live preview, and you can see that the grid appears to not be editable because all of the controls now are shown as labels, but if I click the icon, then that row goes editable, and so I can go here and make a change, and when I save the row, it goes back to its view only state. Now in this particular mode here, whenever I put a row into edit mode and then another row into edit mode, the row that was in edit mode goes back to read-only mode, but you have an option of controlling that. So we'll go back to design over here, and you can see that there's an option there called one row at a time, which I'll turn off, and now go back to edit mode, and you can see now that I can put as many rows as I want into edit mode. So there's no restriction on the number of rows that can be in edit mode at any given point in time. So let's go back now and switch back to all rows being editable. So we'll go there, and we'll go over there, and one of the options that you might want to do is prevent the user from submitting individual rows, but only submit all the rows at once. So you'd like to turn off the ability to submit individual rows. So let's go back to design mode, and we'll turn off allow individual rows to be submitted. So now I'll go to live preview, and you can see now that the icons for each row have been turned off, and the only way to submit the grid now is through this button over there, which will go ahead then and submit the data. Now when you're editing, the normal keyboard shortcuts that you would expect are all available. So the up and down arrow work, and in addition to that, you can press the F9 key to commit the data, and that commits the data. So all of the keyboard shortcuts that Alpha 5 uses on the desktop are implemented on the web as well. So that gives you a quick overview of the editing features in a grid component.